Now, the boss of British Gas has cast doubt on Labour's promise to cut energy bills, saying net zero will not lower electricity prices. Chris O'Shea, the CEO, has warned that emerging technologies like floating wind and tidal power are far more expensive than gas or solar. This somewhat contradicts Ed Miliband's pledge to save households £300 a year by 2030. Let's speak with Andrew Montford, Director at Net Zero Watch. Andrew, good afternoon to you. I mean, for me, that's where this curious story really starts. They made an awful lot of this £300 a year saving during the election, and then it kind of disappeared about halfway through the campaign, didn't it? They quietly dropped it because somebody clearly had a word and said, you can't achieve this.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, he said he was going to reduce bills by £300, but actually in the, 9 months or so since they were elected, bills have actually gone up by getting on for £300. Yeah. So it's quite clear that the promise was misleading. It's true. Chris O'Shea from Centrica is quite right. Bills aren't going to come down. If you actually look at the breakdown of what goes into a bill, almost every element of it will go up in future. We can see that subsidies are going to go up in future. The Office for Budget Responsibility says they'll keep increasing at least out to 2030. The cost of balancing the grid's going to go up. Carbon taxes are going to go up because we're going to be pushed into the EU emissions trading scheme where prices are rather higher. I could go on and on and on about this. Almost every element will increase. The only one that might come down, actually, strangely, is the gas price, which Ed Miliband keeps saying is the problem. We're expecting a lot of new flows of liquefied natural gas in a couple of years' time. That will bring prices down. So, people should expect prices to keep going up. We are really in a very, very bad situation here.
What is the truth then on this whole area of green subsidies or the green taxes, however it's phrased, are responsible for bills being high? There was a bit of and I'm sure you're aware of this situation, Andrew, there was a moment on the Robert Peston programme on ITV where they sort of slightly did a gotcha moment on Kemi Badenoch saying, no, all this nonsense about green taxes. And then somebody showed a chart, and I think that's widely now been dismantled as not being quite economical with the truth, certainly by some. So what is the reality of this? Because those on the sort of Dale Vinces and the like environmentalists say, no, it's nothing to do with the green stuff, it's to do with the cost of gas.
Yeah, it absolutely isn't to do with the cost of gas. The Peston show was pretty appalling. What they did was essentially there's a lot of things that I think they included within wholesale prices, which wholesale prices are, everybody agrees, are affected by gas. But there are other things in there, such as carbon taxes and also Ofgem, for reasons that I'm not entirely clear, also include there some of the renewable subsidies. So once you stripped all those things out, the bit that's actually affected by gas has really only increased a little bit. You can see the big increases over the last 10 years, the long-term increase, are subsidies, carbon taxes, and the cost of dealing with the intermittency of renewables. And as I said before, those things are going to keep increasing. So the situation's going to get worse.
Well, there is a way to make your life easier, apparently. Homeowners who ditch their gas boilers for a heat pump could pay back the cost of the insulation through a salary sacrifice scheme. I nearly fell off my chair when I read this one. Under plans being considered by Ed Miliband. Now, I get it. You might do a salary sacrifice thing if you want to pay a medical bill for someone whose leg has fallen off in Kuala Lumpur in an unfortunate accident. I get that. Pay by instalments. I don't know how many people are going to be running for the heat pump installation knowing that they're going to have it taken out of their salary. How desperate is Ed Miliband on this?
Yeah, this is what Ed Miliband's doing left, right and centre. Instead of actually dealing with the high costs of the system and stuff like heat pumps and EVs, he's trying to hide them, to sort of change who pays for them or just hide it in some other ways. This is just one example of that. The fact of the matter is that a heat pump will, for most people, not save them any money, and it certainly won't pay back the huge cost of installing a heat pump. He's trying, he can't deal with that. That's not going to change. So he's just trying to trick people. And yeah, I think, as long as we keep saying that he's trying to trick people, people will see through it and they'll just not listen to him.
What is this obsession, this evangelical obsession with heat pumps as well? I mean, I mentioned Dale Vince a second ago. Even Dale Vince is against heat pumps, for goodness sake. But Ed Miliband is wedded to this idea. It doesn't matter what. It's like someone's hypnotised him or something. Darren Brown has been on the case, so he can't get it out his head for some reason. He's got to have more heat pumps.
Well, of course, heat pumps run on electricity, and electricity, in theory, can be made zero carbon. So yeah, he wants people to have heat pumps, but they're more expensive to run, and they don't work very well in cold weather when you actually want them. So yeah, it's a bit of a disaster. But yeah, this is true of so many things. It's true of EVs as well. People don't actually really want them. They're more expensive. So he tries to hide those facts from people by subsidizing things and forcing people to buy EVs rather than petrol cars. And yeah, it goes on and on and on. And yeah, eventually the crows will come home to roost, and people will see the truth. But for a while, I think Ed Miliband is going to keep trying to fool people.
But what you're forgetting, Andrew, and this is the difference between you and Ed Miliband, is that Ed cares and he wants to save the planet. He's going to do something about the burning peat bogs of Borneo and that lesser spotted toad of Mexico, whereas you're just going to sit talking about it. Ed's the man to follow, surely.
I think following Ed, a man who is determinedly trying to drive the country off a cliff, it's probably a very foolish thing to do. Yeah, I mean, Ed Miliband is a fanatic, isn't he? And he doesn't actually really care about the pain that this is causing people. He will do this whatever, and he will. I think he wants to leave his mark on history as well. Probably, he wants to be seen in the history books as the man who delivered net zero, because he thinks net zero is great. I think the history books actually will tell a very different story. They'll tell the story that he was the man who finally crashed the economy by.
Yes.
I mean, we are, I think, inevitably going to lose what is left of our manufacturing by the time we get rid of this government, because electricity prices are going to soar.
Well, he's kind of cosplaying Al Gore, isn't he, from about 25 years ago, and what happened to him? So it's not as if there's not precedent for where this journey can take you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gore did very well out of it, of course, didn't he? He made loads and loads of money out of being an eco nutter. I don't know whether Ed Miliband is doing quite so well, but yeah, there are, shall we say, side benefits to being a leading eco warrior.
There it is. Listen, Andrew, always great to talk. Thank you, Andrew Montford, director of Net Zero Watch.